Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the long-awaited armored Batman from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is, of course, the Play Arts Kai rendition of that figure. And you guys know the Batman figure was pretty much a big letdown, and the Superman figure was pretty much a big letdown. And this figure is... I'm going to wait and tell you at the end. No, I'm going to go through it, and then you'll be able to decide for yourself, but I'll tell you what I think by the end of the video. It's, you know, just don't expect something to surprise you in being very good here. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so let's just get it off the stand and dive right into it. I don't want to hold you guys up any longer than I need to. This guy stands just about 24.5 centimeters, which makes him just about 9 3/4 inches. So it's, you know, basically standard size for these guys. And I want to point out something. People often make this comment on my reviews for these Play Arts figures in saying that Play Arts figures are meant to look like anime. They're meant to be stylized. And while sometimes that's true, like the variant figures for instance, those are definitely meant to be stylized. These are not. Figures like this that are based directly on a movie or directly on a game, there's nowhere, anywhere on the Play Arts website, on the boxes, on anything that says they're meant to be stylized. So that excuse doesn't work anymore. The fact that we're still getting these goofy proportions is a problem. We really shouldn't be. And you can just see right here, he's got really big hips. They're definitely wider than his chest. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen a superhero who had a chest narrower than his hips. Maybe you could argue that his thighs are big because of the armor, and you could, that'd be fine, but so should his chest be. It's not the way it looks. I mean, it doesn't look right. It's not the way it should be on the figure, so that's a big problem. There are some really good things about this figure. General sculpt looks pretty nice, but there are definitely some issues. So let's just get into the accessories. He does come with the display stand, which I'm not going to bother getting out to show you because nobody likes those and they suck. He also has some interchangeable hands. So you have the two fist hands that come on the figure. You have two secondary hands that aren't really good for anything. I'm not really sure what they're for. And then you have one trigger finger hand, which is good, and it's meant for holding the gun, which is not bad. It's all one color pretty much with some shading, but it's okay. So let's look at the figure. Paint-wise, is it good? I don't know. It seems a little bit yellowy to me. Like the armor isn't... I don't remember him ever looking like he wasn't anything but silver and gray or gunmetal, and this guy definitely has a slight tinge, the slightest tinge of like a pewter. It's a very pewter-looking metal, which isn't terrible. It's not a deal breaker, but it is something to note. The rest of the paintwork, the battle damage and whatnot, looks pretty good. The paintwork on the face is okay. I think the problem with the face is really... Oops, let me actually show you the face. He's too tall for me to zoom in that tight. The face isn't bad paintwork-wise, but the sculpt is not great, so we might as well just talk about that now. The eyes are not symmetrical, and so that's a problem. His left eye, the one on the right of the screen, is bigger than the one on his right, our left. So this one is bigger than this one. That looks really bad, and they're not on the same plane. They're not at the same angles, so that does not look good. It might not stand out so much on camera, but in person, it looks like he's winking. And since he's wearing a helmet, he shouldn't be winking, so that's a bit of a bummer. The face also not symmetrical. Again, I don't know if it'll show on camera, but this part of his upper lip area pushed in. It does not look right. And then just the eyes themselves are not big enough. The light up part is not big enough, and since they don't light up, it doesn't look right. It's not a deal breaker, that part, but the other features being totally asymmetrical, maybe if I put it at an angle, you'd be able to tell. You can see it looks like he's kind of winking. It just takes away from the aesthetic of the figure so much, having that winkiness. It's not great. One other thing that bugs me while we're here is this strap goes all the way around, and it's supposed to kind of go through his cape, I guess. I don't know for sure, but whatever it's supposed to do, it's not supposed to just end in a point. They could have actually made it tuck in, and they didn't. It's just a part of a strap glued onto his cape. It looks pretty strange. Alright, so let's continue. Let's move on through the review. You can see, once you get him posed, he's going to look pretty cool, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to break down the entire figure so you guys know what you're buying, and then we'll decide if we can pose it and make it look good afterwards. As far as the articulation goes, we have a double ball peg for the head, single ball peg for the neck. Range isn't terrible. Of course, he's all armored up, so that's going to get in the way. Can't fault anybody for that. That's the way it goes, so that's okay. Cape is really soft, by the way, up here. This whole thing is soft, but it still kind of gets in the way due to the angle of it. You can't really flex it too much. For the shoulders, the shoulder pads are soft, and like I said, that's soft, so you can get the arms up pretty well. It's not terrible. He's probably the best out of the bunch so far. Fingers crossed Wonder Woman is even better, and I'm hoping she is. I think she will be. So we have the ball hinge that gets the arm all the way up. It still puts the shoulder in an unnatural position, but with the armor it's somewhat hidden, so that's okay. And then you have the swivel in that lets him bring the arm around this way. And combined with the bicep swivel, it actually works pretty well. So that's alright. So mentioning the bicep swivel, we have that. We have our standard ball hinge, which it doesn't look great, but it's not terrible, especially once you get imposed. It's alright. They didn't do anywhere near as much as they normally do to hide it, and it's kind of a lighter gray, so definitely could be better. It's not terrible, but it definitely could be better. And then the same thing for the wrist. They could have hidden it a little bit better, but it functions, so that's okay. It would have been nice if it wasn't just that weird gray that doesn't match anything. So there's that. For the torso, we have that hinge in the top part and then a ball peg in the bottom part, so you can kind of... There, I have him snapped back right now, and if I snap that top hinge forward, it just brings the entire thing forward, so now you can see a little bit of a gap. And it does kind of allow you to lean him forward a little bit, but as you guys know from past figures, that hinge is pretty much ineffective. The ball peg is going to do all of the work anyway, so I'm not sure it's necessary, other than maybe when you lean him back, which it works well enough. You can lean him back some, and you can lean him forward some. It's not great, though. His cape is really heavy. Really heavy, so don't expect to have no balancing issues. You're definitely going to have some balancing issues. You can lean him from side to side due to that ball peg, so that works. Having the big armor up top does provide for a pretty decent range of motion for the torso, and of course it'll rotate around. It is all soft also. All of this is soft plastic. Just needs to be bulkier to make his proportions look good, and we'd be on a much better start if his proportions were better. For the torso, we have that single ball peg like we almost always have, which will lean from side to side, swivel, go forward and back. Really no problems there. For the belt and crotch piece, it's all pretty soft, and it actually hides the gapping pretty well and isn't super bulky or anything like that, so not too bad. For the hips, we can bring the legs pretty far forward. It does end up raising the crotch piece, so you can see inside a little bit, so that's not ideal. By the way, someone's cutting grass outside, so it's the neighbors. If you guys can hear that, I apologize. I can't really do anything about that. They just have bad timing. And then for the hips, you can bring them pretty far out to the side, so the hips are definitely not an issue other than being a little bit too wide and throwing off the proportions, which you can probably hide while posing. Now, I think there's supposed to be a swivel. Yeah, there's a swivel here in the thigh, which is hidden nicely, so that's pretty good, although you still get a really solid swivel up here. On most figures, I'd say just leave it up there, but since you can hide it on this guy, why not have a little bit extra? For the knees, they are not the best looking knees, but they're definitely not the worst, and they get good range, so I'm okay with that. And then for the feet and ankles, we have our ball hinge, which goes all the way forward, all the way back. Well enough anyway, not too bad. And then of course you can rotate that around and use the ball peg itself to give yourself an ankle rocker. So that's pretty good. And then you have a toe hinge, which isn't great, but it's not too bad. So ultimately, it's definitely the best of the three so far. Batman and Superman both had way too many issues. This guy, not quite as many, but wait, there's more. We need to talk about the cape. Don't think I forgot, because I was saving the worst for last. Top part of the cape looks okay, no real problem there. It's nice and soft, it has some seams in it, so that's good. We have this stupid, let's just get that out of the way, design with this block in the torso again, and they're pegging their ball hinges in vertically rather than horizontally. That creates a problem in posing. When they were pegged in horizontally, you could rotate them on that peg or hinge them using the ball hinge. Then of course you could rotate on the ball hinge peg going into the cape. In this design, you can only hinge and rotate. You have to finagle the hinge to use the actual hinge to bring them out to the side, and it's not a real good design, to be completely honest. It puts the cape hanging too low, and it's a pain in the ass to pose it. If that wasn't a problem, we'd still have the problem of this. I don't know if you guys can see it. I think you can. I have a big gray spot on my cape here, whereas this one's mostly dark with just some shading. What's up with that? That's not great. Luckily, the poop brown that was on the other Batman only just a little bit on this guy, and he's supposed to look a little more beat up in the armor, so I can let it slide on this one, but I cannot let that big gray spot slide. That looks really bad. Luckily, I'm not going to be looking at the figure from the back too much, but if that's like a common issue, then that's a big problem. So really, I could get past the proportions because you can pose him. The things I can't get past are the winking eye, which isn't great, and then that cape. Everything else, it's well enough hidden that I really like this guy, but I'm not sure if it's because I just really like the armor look and I'll be able to hide all of the problems on the figure. And given the fact that this is a $150 figure, I really shouldn't have that many problems to hide, so I'm kind of torn. I'm not sure how much of my likeness, that's not what I'm trying to say, how much I like this figure is just because it's a really cool Batman armor design. I'm pretty sure they have enough problems with this figure that if it wasn't a cool design, I would be telling you don't buy it for sure. So you guys can let me know what you think. I don't know. There's something about it, looking at it makes me really like it, but on a technical, on paper type of analysis, there's a lot of problems with this guy, so I'm not entirely sure how I feel. You guys can let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. I've given you all of the objective information. As far as whether or not I like it, I don't know for sure. It is definitely better than the other two, though, so there is that. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos every single day. We do all kinds of reviews like this. We talk about video games. We play video games. We talk about movies and TV shows. All kinds of fun stuff. We do top 10 lists, unboxings, pretty much anything you want, pop culture related. It's here, so make sure you subscribe and keep coming back. And in the meantime, keep collecting.